Hello. I'm just getting ready to film John's wrestling views. Can't let my loyal fans down. Yeah, there's a lot to cover. I mean, WrestleMania is getting closer and closer, and there's certain things like the Triple H and the Undertaker rivalry, and how The Rock's gonna fit into place. I mean, Cena and The Miz are having a bunch of issues. Yeah. Oh yeah, there's a lot going on. No, I'm not gonna take the idea of hiding behind or in a glass box and call it the coal mine. Oh no, yeah, there's definitely I'm gonna definitely have to get into that story. Oh crap, the camera's on. Can't let the dozens and dozens of John's Wrestling Views fans down. So I'm gonna have to call you back. Bye. Because finally, John's Wrestling Views has come back to YouTube. Sorry, I had to say it again. Thanks for tuning in. I'm your host, John. Sorry for the delay last week, but I am back and ready to give my reviews as Wrestle Mania just 2 weeks away, and a lot to be determined until then, and a lot that you could tell is going to happen, but a lot that's under our plates already has happened. Let's get started. I'll tell you what, WrestleMania is revolving around two things this year. Two matches anyway. Right now it's going to be The Miz versus John Cena. The Rock's got some sort of role. He's guest host of WrestleMania already, but he's got another role to do with the match. The other one, The Undertaker and Triple H. I have issues with WrestleMania. It's the biggest night of the year, and no matter, I tend to have some sort of issues with each year, and no matter what my issue is, WrestleMania turns out to deliver, usually. And my biggest gripes is, John Cena's got a valid point. The Rock is never there. I'm surprised, he's been there every other week, usually via satellite, and, as a classic wrestling fan would want to root for The Rock here, because everybody missed The Rock, especially the last 7 years that he's been gone. But John Cena's the role model of today's wrestler. And now it's scaring people, because it's like they're finally starting to do more and more with the John Cena-Miz rivalry. And everybody wants to see The Rock compete at WrestleMania, and most people just want to see John Cena versus The Rock. How is that going to form? Well, as promised on Raw last night, The Rock will be at Raw next week. And John Cena promises that finally John Cena and The Rock will go face-to-face. No more war of words. It's not going to get physical either, but let's see what happens. Hopefully, I'm keeping my fingers crossed here, because I think it'd make way more sense for a WrestleMania main event to be not just John Cena versus Miz, but John Cena versus The Miz versus The Rock. Makes perfect sense to me. As far as The Undertaker and Triple H is concerned, I have one huge issue with that. I get it. Undertaker and Triple H have been on the shelf for a while. Both just come back from being out on, and they're trying to promote the WrestleMania match more and more. But it's doing nothing by just them coming out and talking about the other person for 10 minutes and saying, oh, I'm going to beat you at WrestleMania. Well, everyone wants to win their WrestleMania match. And yeah, it gives us a time to see Shawn Michaels, as each week he reflects on the match. And then he took 1 week to reflect about Triple H, and he took another week to reflect on The Undertaker. I get it, but there's nothing. Triple H beat up Sheamus a couple weeks ago. Last night on Raw, he beat up Ted DiBiase. But it would have made more sense. I know they're wanting to make WrestleMania all more special, as it will be technically their first matches back and so on, especially in Triple H's case. But it would have made way more sense to have Triple H versus Ted DiBiase instead of just them fighting. And then The Undertaker, as he's concerned, it's the same thing, except he's not even beating up anybody. He's just talking. I'm thinking this Friday on SmackDown, though, The Undertaker will come out, and something similar will happen where somebody's going to confront The Undertaker, and I'll just turn into The Undertaker beating him up. I don't think we'll see a tombstone through a table to try to one-up Triple H, but something's going to happen. It's just as disappointing, because how are they in a rivalry with each other? They respect each other, and one person's trying to keep his streak, the other's trying to lose his, or end the streak. The trouble with that also is they're making it sound like it could be the last match for one, if not both, competitors at WrestleMania. And knowing they both just came back from injuries, it'd be really disappointing for the wrestling fan to see them come back, have one match, and that be it. You know, have this month and a half of animosity building up, and just saying, oh, I'm going to beat you at WrestleMania, lose at WrestleMania, and never heard from again. Nobody wants that. Come on. Especially if one of them is going to be gone after WrestleMania, like retire from the ring, which one would presume. Honestly, it'd probably be The Undertaker. But, you know, Triple H is more of an executive role. I think he might be on his last leg. Who knows? I hope it's not both of them. But if one or both of them is gone, why don't you give them one match where they can actually win before WrestleMania? But come this Friday or Monday on Raw, they will go face to face one more time. This time, you know, I guarantee there's going to be words. I guess let's see how it goes. It's going to be a great match at WrestleMania. It's the common wrestling fan. That's the match that's really drawing them into WrestleMania. Other than, like I said, The Rock's involvement. But hopefully they can do more. I want to see matches before WrestleMania, and honestly, I don't think I'm going to get my wish. And one thing that drives me nuts about WrestleMania every year is there's so many big names that it looks like they're not going to give wins or matches to even. I was thinking, you know, it would make sense. We haven't seen like a championship scramble match in a while. I was thinking maybe, you know, Sheamus has had these rivalries with all these different people other than Daniel Bryan. Like, look at Mark Henry. He had a rivalry going with him, and then Evan Bourne came back, so there's a rivalry there. I was thinking maybe put the three of them, put Daniel Bryan in there, and then even Ted DiBiase have a championship scramble match. Makes perfect sense to me, and that's 5 wrestlers who deserve a spot on the WrestleMania card. And granted, there can only be one winner, but, you know, give them all a WrestleMania moment instead of just throwing them in a Battle Royal before the show so they still have their WrestleMania involvement. But, you know, the trouble is I don't run things, and so, you know, my view doesn't matter. Yes, I am a fan, but I'm not a writer, so. Kofi Kingston's another name. I don't really see how he can have involvement. The Corre is having this rivalry with Kane and the Big Show. Finally, it looks like Kane's a face again. I've heard rumor that there's going to be an 8-man tag at WrestleMania. Maybe there's even talk about Diesel coming back and being in that 8-man tag match, and then they'd be left with another partner. As of last night, could be the Corre versus Big Show, Kane, Vladimir Kozlov, and Santino Marella, which I don't know if that's a drawing the viewer in kind of match, but it'd be decent nonetheless. You know, Kozlov and Marella do have beef with the Corre. The other big story right now is Michael Cole and Jerry the King Lawler. The way they're playing things out, it's clear that, like I've said in many episodes past, Jerry the King Lawler is going to win this. Which I'm also thinking maybe, I've heard rumor that after this match, Cole will take a break from the ring, maybe just switch to completely on SmackDown, and they're thinking this will allow the actual return of JR, as he's worked for a company all this time, just not behind a microphone. Like I've said before, and I'll say it again, especially after not this last Monday, but the Monday before, expect JR to at least be at the announce table at WrestleMania alone. Grandmaster Sexay clearly going to have nothing to do with the match, as Cole was getting on his case this Monday, calling him a loser as well. Swagger's not going to have anything compared to Stone Cold Steve Austin. There's just no way Michael Cole's going to win this, and the only reason Swagger's in is so Michael Cole stands any sort of a chance. Those are the big things going on right now. It was announced Sheamus and Daniel Bryan will face each other one-on-one for the U.S. title at WrestleMania. The other trouble I have is knowing all these big names don't have matches yet. R-Truth is another one, for example. But all these, Christian, Drew McIntyre, you know, all these names, and they're not having matches yet. Snooki from the Shore, who has nothing to do with wrestling, has a match. You know, I get it. WrestleMania is all about media involvement. They want to catch the media's attention, and this will do that. Putting Snooki in this 6-person tag match, it will be Snooki, Trish Stratus, and John Morrison against Dolph Ziggler and LayCool. But, I don't know. It's classic WrestleMania idea, and hopefully it'll be a decent match. although Morrison and Ziggler are in it, who have the ability to put on a great match, it's going to be difficult with everything else you have in there. But overall, you know, WrestleMania is still pretty solid. Should be a great night. I'm still super pumped. Like I said before, this coming Monday, The Rock and John Cena will finally be face-to-face. Hopefully, we'll have a better idea of how The Rock's involvement in WrestleMania will be. If it's just him, like any general or guest host of Raw in the past, sitting backstage and saying things here and there, it's going to be a disappointment. Obviously, the guy's going to need a match of some sort. Let's see how it works. But overall, I'm still super pumped for WrestleMania. I hope you are too. Whether you get to see it or not, you know you'll get the scoop here. So always feel free to tune into John's Wrestling Views, and I'll be there and give the scoop to you. But until then, thanks for tuning in. I'm John. Have a good one.